it made me realize that, oh, this may not have been the ideal, and it still necessarily isn't the ideal. But when I think about it, it's not bad. Yeah, and there's been some pros, but you just have to allow yourself to see the positivity in a situation and not just paint it as completely negative, and you can't wait until it ends.
Yeah.
Because what if it never ends?
Exactly.
God forbid, but what if it never ends?
Please. In that it's not bad, especially when you get to a place where you understand that this is your own pace and that you're not running a race with other people. Then you can get to a place where, like, okay, this is my situation right now, and I need to make sure that I'm in good communication and good relationship with my parents because I live with them. So I need to create an environment that's going to work for me in the meantime.
How do I discover who I really am when my environment and my relationship dynamics is still telling me that I am a child? There's also a society looks down on people that our age that still live at home. And so there's a shame that is given to us, but that we also carry, and an embarrassment of just talking to people, or you going on a date and they're like, oh, you still live at home?
30,000 words?
Imagine.
Yeah, so, yeah, guys, I'm not against moving out. I just think that we need to be wiser and be more honest with ourselves before we do things. Moving out is just not for the aesthetics. This is real stuff that will affect your pocket. So make sure you're good. Make sure you are good for real. What did you say, B? Have the conversations with the people that have moved. Have conversations. Have conversations with people that are still at home, that moved back home, that are have moved out, that have gotten a bond, that are renting. Let's talk. Let's not just walk into things with blindfolds on as if that's right. Hi, community. Welcome back to A Cup Full. Thank you so much for joining me, or us rather. Us, because I have a guest today. She is no stranger to the podcast. We did an episode together last year for each other's podcasts. And because it was nice, we had to do it twice. I'm killing it with the words today. It is my absolute pleasure to welcome back content creator, businesswoman, founder of production company and YouTube channel, The B Word, and founder and host of the podcast According to B, my really good friend, rather my really close friend. We're sisters at this point. Her mama loves me.
And my dog.
And her dog. And her other dog. Nala likes me now, actually.
Wasn't she running away from you?
Whatever. She loves me. She knows she loves me. Anyways, welcome back, my girl B. Bokangs.
Hello, y'all miss me. Back by popular demand.
Period.
Yo, I had to come. You guys were busy commenting, tagging me.
Listen.
I come back to A couple.
Listen, girl, thank you so much for being here. We are in the comfort of...
Being here in my home.
Yes! I was about to say we're in the comfort of your home, in one of the best rooms. According to me, it's so warm in here.
It is nice and warm in here.
It's so warm and nice in here. I'm really looking forward to today's conversation because you and I talk a lot about a lot of things, but specifically about this, living at home in your 20s. It's a conversation that we have often, and we are going to be getting into this 3 parts. There are going to be 3 parts to this, but obviously you and I are just going to do this one episode, and then my mom will be joining me in another one, and then I'm going to do another one solo. So yeah, it's a 3-part series. I'm doing a thing with series this year. Last month it was love. This
one
month,
episode is not enough.
No. We
need to break it down.
We need to break it down. We have to unpack. This is the only time I like unpacking. Otherwise, constant discourse and unpacking is exhausting. But this is the only time that I think it's fine. So yeah, if you haven't listened to the love series yet, please do that. I recorded that last month, and it would be really nice to hear from you what you think about that if you haven't said anything yet, or just for you to listen and yeah, hopefully take something from it. So before we get into the thick of this episode, I want to throw some facts over to everyone. Throw some facts over, that sounded edgier in my head anyways.
Sounds different. Sounds say it out loud.
Sounds new. So I came across a really interesting paper by Amy Thornton. She's a postdoctoral research fellow, and the paper's titled Leaving the Parental Home in Post-Apartheid South Africa. So according to that paper in 2015, more young adults aged 15 to 35 years remained in the parental home. 63% stayed and 37% had left. And another point that I picked up from it was that South Africans could be described as late home leavers, specifically Black South Africans, because of the long-standing effects of apartheid socioeconomically. And the main reasons the literature identifies for leaving the parental household are union formation, so you get married, gaining employment, and getting older. Marriage is, interestingly enough, clearly of overriding importance for women's home leaving. And then in an article published in the Sunday Times in 2017 titled Cash-Strapped Millennials Slow to Check Out of Hotel Mom and Dad. I thought that
Oh, it's sick. I love that. Hotel mom and dad, period.
Oh, gosh.
At this point, what am I? The concierge? Well, actually, I'm everything at hotel mom and dad. Child, I'm the cleaner.
No, same. Same. According to Statistics South Africa, 31.8% of people between 25 and 35 was still living at home. This is obviously still like in 2017 though, with their parents, so the numbers increased. The number of millennials in this age group living with their parents rose from 2.4 million in 2002 to just over 3 million in 2016. In South Africa, nearly half of the 25 to 35 year age group still live at home and they are unemployed. And lastly, we go international in an article written by Elizabeth Napolitano, I don't know if I said that right, of CBS News. This one is titled More Young Adults Are Living at Home Across the US, and here's why. So according to a new survey from Harris Poll for Bloomberg, roughly 45% of people aged 18 to 29 are living at home with their families. This is the highest figure since the 1940s. More than 60% of Gen Zers and millennials reported moving back home in the past 2 years, according to the poll, often because of financial challenges. Moving back with their parents is a choice many are making these days as they grapple with high housing costs, heavy student debt, inflation, and the kind of broader economic precariousness that has increasingly weighed on younger people in recent years. And the top reason for returning home at more than 40% is to save money, and I get that. In addition, 30% of respondents said they are staying with family members because they can't afford to live on their own. Other factors included paying down debt, recovering financially from emergency costs, and losing a job, according to the survey. The poll conducted online in August of 2023 includes responses from more than 4,000 US adults, including 329 people aged 18 to 29. And as many Gen Zers and millennials move back in with their parents, attitudes toward living with family members are also shifting. According to the survey, 40% of young people reported feeling happy to be living at home, while 33% said they felt smart for making the choice to live with family. In addition, a large majority of respondents reported they were sympathetic towards those who choose to live with their families, with 87% saying they think people shouldn't be judged for living at home. And I agree. I know that it's a sign of independence when you move out and you go and live on your own. But it's also really expensive. And we need to talk about the cost of living increasing also. And it's inflation and people's salaries not increasing at the same rate. So I still live at home. But this wasn't the plan for me.
I don't live at home. I live at hotel mom and dad.
Yes!
Rebranding.
I love it. But yeah, I wanted to move out for a really long time because other people were doing it. Our peers, we always seeing people on TikTok, Instagram, posting pictures of their keys, new apartments. What is Ari Lennox's? I just want a new apartment. Oh my goodness, there was a time when I was still on Instagram, I was seeing every other post I was seeing was somebody moving into the apartment. And I wanted that. Like, I really did want that for myself. And I'm happy for people that can do it, though. But yeah, society, today's culture and standards keep saying that it is a really good show of independence and it gives the much needed freedom needed in the 20s. And so at some point or another, living at home was kind of like suffocating for me because I think it was more envy. I really wanted what other people had and I felt like I was behind, that it wasn't happening for me. But yeah, I have a different perspective of it now. And although there was a time in my life where I felt frustrated, I feel like now I've settled more into it and I have a different understanding about it. But yeah, as I said, we've spoken extensively about this topic and share some similar sentiments. But now that we are on a public platform, I want to know what it has been like living at home for you. Like, what has been the experience? Just an overall, a brief summary of what the experience has been like. We can get into the nitty gritties throughout the episode.
I think the answer to this question for me would change according to when you asked me this question across my 20s. So I think there was a big frustration and a hunger and a just this desire to go out, find my own place in the world, to be able to take care of myself and get my life started. That was kind of my perspective to moving out, in that my life couldn't start until I moved out, or that was the first signifier of me actually starting to live an adult life. And so there was just a lot of weight, but also a lot of self judgment and criticism, and just fear as, for one reason or another, that desire did not come into fruition. Yeah. And I think just growing up and maturing and realizing that my identity, my value, and my place in the world isn't necessarily determined by where I'm at, and also just getting a bit more perspective from some of my friends who do live alone and some of my friends who have moved back home. I've gotten to see how, in some ways, me being at home has been such a really great thing for me, to be able to just completely express myself creatively, because I do have that supportive family, and without the pressure, and find my way and my place in the world and my voice in the work that I do without the pressure of the economic factors, you know? And then, yeah, just also getting to hear how it's, as you were saying, it's so glamorized, especially on social media, this idea of moving out and living alone in your apartment. But having real honest conversations with people who are living alone, it's expensive, it gets lonely. There's a lot of nuances that aren't necessarily in that reel that you watch on a daily. You know, in those vlogs, you don't get to see those in between moments of what it's really like. And just to be in constant community around people, as someone who really thrives on that, but also have the privilege of being able to have my own space, and my parents also allowing me for my space, I realized that, and just overall having a good relationship with my parents, it made me realize that, oh, this may not have been the ideal, and it still necessarily isn't the ideal, but when I think about it, it's not bad. Yeah, and there's been some pros, but you just have to allow yourself to see the positivity in a situation and not just paint it as completely negative, and you can't wait until it ends. Because what if it never ends?
Exactly.
God forbid, but what if it never ends?
Please. I really want to get back to the pros. Actually, the pros and cons, because that's the next thing I wanted to ask. But I just wanted to add on to what you were saying, in that it's not bad, especially when you get to a place where you understand that this is your own pace and that you're not running a race with other people. Then you can get to a place where, like, okay, this is my situation right now, and I need to make sure that I'm in good communication and good relationship with my parents because I live with them. So I need to create an environment that's going to work for me in the meantime. And I think that's something else that we need to talk about a lot more when it comes to the conversation of moving in general. We need to be able to be open and say, this is a good way to go about living at home. This is a good way to go about moving. For people that have moved, like, talk about what you did wrong. Tell people how they can prepare in advance to make a move, because it's not all Oh my gosh, amazing. It is, okay, it is amazing. I think it's great that you can have that kind of freedom, but we have to be a little bit more honest with people that you are going to be walking into a lot more independence. You have to take care of your own bills. You don't have mom and dad to fall back on. And I guess that's fine. We all need to get to a point where we don't have our parents to fall back on anymore. But tell people the truth. Just like be for real. Be very, very honest with people that this is what goes into this, so that a person who's 23 and is excited about moving out understands that there are financial implications, there are emotional implications, there are spiritual implications. So yeah, let's be honest. And I also want to talk a little, well, it's going to come up later on, but just getting into that, having a good relationship with your parents, we gotta open up that conversation as well, because I really, really want to talk about that. But yeah, what have been the pros and cons of living at home? You can give like 2 of each, 3 of each, 4 of each.
Okay. I mean, for me, the pros are, like I said, just company and community. That's a pro. And not only just in company, but in taking care of one another.
Yeah.
For example, I know I was about to overshare, but but there are certain expenses that at my age I really should be taking care of. And I'm really not. And my parents don't make me feel bad about it.
Yeah,
You know?
you see.
And at the same time, it's almost like a village or an ecosystem where in different ways we
Oh,
take
yes.
care of one another. And so in those ways, they're able to help me financially, or if it comes to some medical expenses, things that I know on my own, because of the medical aid that I'd be able to afford, I wouldn't be able to qualify for certain things because I'm here in community with my parents. But I also feel like if I lived alone, they would just still help me.
Yeah.
But because of that good relationship and just the way our relationship is set up, I have the access and the privilege of stuff like that and, groceries. But at the same time, there is me as a child, but an adult child in their home. There is a certain level of responsibility and a certain level of desire for you to also take care of your parents in different ways. So at home, that could look like cleaning the house, cooking,
Yes.
contributing to some of the bills, buying some groceries,
Yes.
wherever you can. Because if a person's going to be working, especially for the people who are unemployed, it's so easy for you to think that you have no point and no purpose and you're just at home doing nothing.
Yeah.
But for your parent who's going and working all day and then coming back home tired and exhausted, just having an environment that is welcoming, a cooked meal,
That's so good.
takes so much stress over them. So we take care stress off of them. So we take care of, I like that ecosystem and that community of that village where we take care of one another in that way. So I say that's a pro because I would not have that living alone. I think about that a lot, and that even when I'm feeling physically sick or down, I can just go to my mom for comfort and she'll give me a massage or we'll just hang out. Yeah. And I think being at home, especially in your later 20s or in your 20s, and as the older you get, some people even beyond their 20s, they come back home.
Yeah.
It gives you the opportunity to redefine and redevelop your relationship with your parents in a new way. So now it's not just mom and dad, but you get to know them as human being A and human being B, in a deeper, vulnerable way. And a beautiful thing I've seen is that my parents, not necessarily coming to me for advice, but valuing my opinion
Oh, yes.
in certain things, and me seeing them actually take that into consideration and in their decision making as well.
I can relate.
So those would be a couple of pros on my side. What about you? What are some pros?
Definitely. I just want to echo that one that you're being considered, your voice is being heard, and I can appreciate that because I'm a grown woman now, and my mom could say to me, she has the option. I need space now, or you're grown and you have two younger siblings that I need to focus on, please make sure you're getting your life together. But again, I also understand, and I'm aware that I do speak from a position of privilege, that I have a relationship with my mom. The way that it is not just because of the work I've put in, it's because of the work she's put in. So I am aware that, you know, this is an effort from her side as well, which I'm really grateful for. But it's also just the community, like you say, it's having support in the ways that I do. And I know that if I lived alone, I could just take a taxi, take an Uber home, but it wouldn't be the same. And there is also just that I can go to my mom and say, can I just have a hug? Like, I'm not feeling so amazing. I know I'm a grown woman now and you're not going to like helicopter over me all the time, but I don't feel good today. I don't have the strength today. Can you please just carry me? And she will do that. So I just appreciate that there's space for me to express my feelings, whether I'm having a good time or not. You and I work in the arts. It can be very unpredictable and difficult sometimes, and that can weigh heavily down on your mental health, on your finances, on your plans. And having parents that understand that just because you're in the arts, you know how the arts, especially African culture, doesn't make enough money, it's not really that important. Having parents that support your dreams, beautiful. It does a lot for your self-esteem, for your self-confidence. And I can say that even when I was feeling behind, left behind in life, my mother never made me feel that way. She has never made me feel that way. So it's just like you're wanted and you feel loved, and your parent is creating an environment for you to thrive. So I'm really, really grateful. I bloom. Every time my mom speaks life into me, she prays over me, she prays over my gifts. I grow and I just become a better person, and I'm able to do that for other people. So it's made life different. And I also want to say I see my parents differently as well. I see my parents are not together anymore, but I see my mom differently. I see my dad differently. I see them as people first and not my parents first. And that thing happens when you get older. I know you hear what I'm saying. When we're young, we don't get it. They don't understand me. They're so hectic. They're so like, they're a lot. But as I've gotten older and as the relationship has gotten more intimate, especially from living at home, I imagine my mom as me, like 28-year-old. You know, I can see her as a 25-year-old who didn't know what she was doing. She had me when she was 26. I can see her as a 30-year-old who was trying to figure out this transition from the 20s to the 30s. And I guess it also helps that we have those conversations. It's good to have those conversations with your parents, but living at home has allowed me to see my mom in a completely different light. And I have so much respect, sympathy, empathy. And like you're saying, I find ways to help. I find ways to make things easier for her. She also works quite a stressful job. She's a healthcare professional, so that can get very stressful. So yeah, it's like it gives you an opportunity to grow more intimately in relationship with your parents. And it's true what they say, that as you get older, you and your parents become friends, because now the time where they're raising a child has kind of, that transition is happening where you're going from being a child to an adult, and you can offer your words of advice because you're now an adult and you are being considered because you've also proven that you're mature enough. So yeah, those are definitely the pros for me.
And also, I don't know if it's the same for you, but I don't think, this is weird, and no tea, no shade to any parents out there.
Disclaimer.
But I'm just like, I don't see y'all having that many friends. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I think another part of that intimacy is that because of the constant touch points, that then, we end up being able to cultivate that relationship of friendship with our parents.
Yes.
But I'm just saying, like, y'all need to also get into your friendship bag.
No, for real. That's why come on.
It cannot just be work, children.
No, for real.
Partner.
No, for real. And the cons? What are you saying about the cons? What are the cons?
Jojo, let me get my list. Let me get my scroll.
Yes. I'm finished. Because it's good, ne? But same. Love my mom, but same.
Now, wait a damn minute. What the hell is going on? Because I was supposed to be out of here 5 years ago. What's going on? Yeah, I think before I get into the cons, or at least my cons, a thought that I had while you were speaking is that it's a quite a different experience when you've lived at home throughout your 20s versus someone who's lived independently and then
Yes.
come back home.
Yes.
So it would be interesting also to know what well, actually, I can draw from some of my friends who have had that experience in terms of cons. But I'll start with my own personal con as someone who, thankfully, in varsity, I did have a little bit of that somewhat independent experience because I went to school in a different city. So
Yeah.
for those 3 years, I was able to live outside of my parents' house, but it's still in an environment where you're catered for and taken care of. So it's not that full, real adult independence that happens when you are now out of school, you're now working, and you are leaving your parents, and your whole life is just up to you. So from someone who has kind of since the age of, I'd say 22, been at home, one con is that there almost feels like and I think to a certain extent there is some truth to it, a stuntedness in one's personal growth and development, that you can only really truly discover the fullness of your adult self outside of your childhood home.
Oh, that's so good.
And so one of my friends who has the same experience, except with her, with varsity, she was at home the whole time. So she's never lived outside of her parents' home. We always discuss on how I'm 25, I'm 26, I'm 27, I'm 28, I'm 29 years old, and I'm still in my childhood bedroom. How do I discover who I really am when my environment and my relationship dynamics is still telling me that I am a child?
Yo.
And
My
so,
word.
girl,
Whoa. Whoa. What?
and so that's something that I've had to consciously work on and be intentional about discovering the certain semblances of independence outside of, like, making an effort to get out and really point to other aspects of my life so I
Yeah.
can figure out my identity as Bokang, as the adult, and not just be complacent and comfortable in the young me, in the childhood me, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just that tug of war of growth and really becoming who you are and figuring out how to do that in a place where you've been in the same place for 15 years. And so mentally it's easy for you to still be that same person
Sure, yeah.
15 years ago. But girl, you 29, you 28, you know, what does that mean when everything around you tells you otherwise?
That's so true. Oh my goodness, that is so intense. I've never even thought about it like that. I think that I don't even know how relevant the point I'm about to make is. First, I don't know if the point is relevant. Before I make that point, I also had that independence where I stayed on campus for the last 2 years of my university lifetime span career. And that was great. It was really nice to experience that. It gave me an opportunity to, how do I say it? To have a freedom that I wouldn't have had otherwise if I was living at home. So I appreciate that. And that's why I know that when I'm going to go off and live on my own, whether that's going to be before I get married or after, I've been thinking about this a lot. I'm going to get into it towards the end of the episode. I'm going to have a good time. I'm going to enjoy it. It's going to obviously be a different experience to that university experience. But I'm grateful for that freedom. I really am. I would just say that I'm going to mention maybe two cons. The one is that I can't have friends over all the time freely because our house is quite small also. And, you know, I adore my family so much. But if my mom is not home, then my siblings are home. One person has to be home. And I can't just have a friend. And I just want to enjoy privacy with my friends. If I'm having a friend over, sometimes you want peace and quiet. That's another
I
thing.
mean, you were just here last night.
Yes.
With my friends. And then my parents are like right there with us too. I'm like, damn. Can you at least go upstairs somewhere else?
No, they were there the whole time.
They did not care. They were like, this is my house. I'm going to be wherever I want to be. It's like, what are y'all doing? Damn.
Yeah, and sometimes you just want just time for yourself, and you want some peace and quiet, some real peace and quiet. And I sometimes really want that. I do want that. And what else? What else is another con? I'm just trying to think. I said two, but now I'm just about to go on to three. I'm trying. I'm trying to think. Oh, let me tell you something. There's this thing that my family does sometimes. They all put their phones on loud. You hearing TikTok videos, someone else is listening to music, another person is watching a YouTube video. Can we put the volume down?
Put in your earphones.
Put on your earphones or buy them if you feel like I'm about to start a internal GoFundMe in the family. Yes. Donations for people that don't have headsets in the house because it's giving me the ick. If you guys are listening, please buy headphones.
Girl.
Buy headphones. But yeah, I think those would be the cons on the most part. Yeah, it's really not bad. It's not bad at all. It's not bad at all for me. But actually, speaking of cons, I think something else that I've picked up on when it comes to this conversation that I've seen when I was doing research for this episode anyways, I came across a few articles and even more TikTok videos that spoke about how staying at home can really weigh down on one's mental health. Some people spoke extensively about how grateful they are to be able to save money, but on the other hand, they have to and continue to pay with their mental health. So I want to talk about it a little bit more. I know for me, at the beginning anyways, it was just me needing space. That was the thing that was weighing down on me. I don't know. I don't think it's in the same category, but it weighed down heavily on my happiness, on my peace, because my mom and I speak about it more openly now. There are a lot of improvements, especially on her side. But for me, it was just needing space and needing her to understand that I'm no longer a little child. That thing that you mentioned when you said that, how are you gonna grow up and move on when you're still in this environment that's telling you that you're a child? I've had to have active conversations where I express to my mom that I'm not a child anymore, and although I live under her roof, I am still an adult. But I can't really say that living at home has affected my mental health. I know that I'm blessed. I'm really grateful, especially after seeing those videos. I say all of this to ask you, have you had moments where living at home has weighed down heavily on your mental health?
Yeah, I think for some people, it would be down to the relationship that they have with their parents, like a strained relationship that really is that cost that they have to pay with their mental health to live at home. And my relationship with my parents has definitely gotten better and it's evolved over the years, but I'd definitely say in the same way, communicating with them and just telling them that, listen, I ain't the one. I'm not the one. No, you gonna do this. And they're like, who do you think you are? I'm like, I don't know, but don't come at me like that.
Yes.
Like, I keep on telling me that you need to watch your tone with me.
No,
like,
for real.
Don't talk to me like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think changing up the relationship and establishing your own boundaries has really helped in creating a healthier relationship with my parents. And so in that sense, I don't think I'd necessarily it would be a mental health battle.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing that affect me mentally with regards to living at home is the circumstances that keep me here, that are in some ways out of my control, in some ways in my control, which I suppose is mostly, I think, like some of the stats you read in the beginning of the episode, financial constraints, whether it's due to unemployment, like I said, or you are underemployed, you have a job, but you don't have enough money to be able to take care of yourself. And I think those things really weigh down on your self-esteem. They weigh down on your hope for the future, especially in a country with such a high unemployment rate. And if you haven't had any kind of stability for a long time, it's easy for you to feel like this is just, there's no hope and this is how it's going to be. And again, when you see a lot of the people around you as well in a similar or even worse situation, I think those certain things have weighed down on my mental health and stuff that I constantly need to remind myself that, listen, it's okay. This is not the case. This is just a season. And there are opportunities, and I do have some sort of power in this, and I can do something about my situation. I just need to get up and get out of bed, you know?
Yeah.
So I think in that sense, yes. And then another thing, there's also a society looks down on
Yes.
people that our age that still live at home. And so there's a shame
Sure. Yeah.
that is given to us, but that we also carry and an embarrassment of just talking to people, or you going on a date and they're like, oh, you still live at home? Wow, what's wrong with you?
Yes, I do, and I'm proud of it.
I do.
Okay.
And but for some people, they're not necessarily proud of it or not as secure in it.
Yeah, so true.
And even if it's not a bad situation, you just want to be able to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
And I think even biologically, naturally,
Hey, my sister.
we are in a place where now we are grown and we need to move forward in certain ways.
Yeah.
And so it becomes really taxing, really disheartening when you want to move forward. Everything in you is telling you it's time to move forward, but you can't.
Yeah.
And so I think those have been the biggest contributors to the times where my mental health has declined as a result of living at home.
Yeah, it can be really challenging. I can relate. I say I'm fine with it now, but whew, I wasn't fine with it before. I was really struggling, and I was willing to make bad financial decisions to move out of home. I've thought about it. I'm going to be very honest. I've thought about taking out a loan. I've thought about working 2 jobs, 3 jobs. I've thought about it all because I just felt like I was behind. People are asking, especially my grandmother, because she's old time. She's like, what's happening with your life? Why do you still live at home? Where's the husband? Where are the kids? And it's just this pressure. And
now it's embarrassing going to family gatherings. And then your cousins younger than you have moved out. What about you, my sister? You're the grown one. But they're more grown by societal standards than you.
yeah, so it's just a lot of pressure. I think it's even worse for African people. It's very Black Africans. We have this weird, there's this weird culture that grows and thrives in families where people can just talk to people however they like. You're an adult and someone's asking you, why don't you have your life together? Why do you still live at home? When did we get to the point where living at home means I don't have my life together?
You know? And also people live at home for different reasons.
Yes.
Like, there was actually a YouTuber that I watched. I think she's like probably 30 or early 30s now. And she moved back home to be the caretaker for her father.
Yeah.
And now people are going to be like, oh my gosh, you back home, down bad. No, I'm here because I want to be here and I'm taking care of my family.
Yeah.
And no one else is going to do it.
No.
So shut your mouth.
Keep quiet. Mind your own, please.
Yeah.
I really wanted to get into something that we mentioned earlier on, creating boundaries. So Bokang and I are aware that we are obviously very fortunate to be in a place where our relationship with our parents has evolved over the years. We know it's not everyone's story, but now let's say you live at home and there is no other way out. You just are not stable enough to leave and you don't want to put yourself in harm's way, or you can't even, there is no other plan. I want us to talk about creating boundaries and maybe just give other people some tips, some courage, some boldness, encourage them to stand up for themselves, create their boundaries. And listen, even if your parent wants to go radio silent or give you the cold shoulder for a week, you said what you said. As Nini Leak said, I said what I said. And you need to be comfortable with making your parents uncomfortable sometimes. That's the only way they're going to learn that you're an adult. So yeah, how did you start? Was it like a gradual thing? Was it in the little moments where you're like, this is a boundary I'm creating, don't overstep it. When you do, I'm going to make you aware that you're overstepping it? Or were you having conversations with your parents where you're like, listen, I'm old now, I'm grown now. This doesn't make me happy, this doesn't make me comfortable. Was it like a thought out thing or did it just happen?
I think I'm a unique case because I've always just been talking out of pocket. And so my parents, they shocked sometimes when I speak to them, but they're not really shocked because they're like, this girl has always thought that she was something. I don't know why she thinks she is this. I think sometimes they're like, why are you talking to me like that?
Yeah.
You know I'm your parent. I'm
Yeah.
like, and?
And then what?
You need to know. You need to know.
Yeah.
So I think when it came to establishing boundaries, amen, at a certain point, you just get to where you're like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
I actually can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And if the situation is not looking like I can leave, because one thing about me, baby, I'm like, before confrontation of an issue, I'm a peace out, I'm a run away. But when you live with the problem
Yeah.
and you can't run away and it'll
Yeah.
continue because you are constantly in the same environment as the problem, then you have to just decide it's either me and my mental health or the people pleasing. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
No, the people pleasing is not an option. And for us to continue to live here peacefully, I need to establish my boundaries. And also in bringing up your boundaries or your concerns to your parents doesn't mean that they're going to take it or even take it well or understand.
Yes.
You just know that you said your piece.
Yeah.
And you're like, listen, I don't like that this happened. I'd like for it to do this as we move forward. And then they have to decide whether, because we can't force people, we can't change people.
True.
You know?
That's very, very true.
And so when I think about just different ways that I've had to establish boundaries with my parents, yeah, they've been like really understanding, but they don't always agree. And I mean, I'm not also always right about
Thank
things.
you. Thank you.
So
Thank you. You have to keep an open mind, right?
exactly. As much as I think I am always right, I'm like, guys, we really should do it my way. Sometimes, sometimes I'm wrong. And that's what I have also had to learn in like that conversation and that tug and pull. But it takes time. And sometimes you just have to have the courage sometimes it just starts with identifying what the issue is and then saying it to yourself. And then before you can even speak to it speak to it to your parents, you know? And so don't feel like overnight you have to be able to be this communicator where you can communicate your boundaries and establish everything and be perfect. It takes time, and sometimes it's going to take years, but consciously take those baby steps. Seek counsel on other people how to do it.
Yes.
And then you have to be courageous and you have to voice yourself. After the voicing, the only thing you can control is you. So if it's a money boundary that you're setting, maybe your dad is always like, dude, just give me 500 rand every week. I'll pay you back. And he never pays you back. Now your money is going, and nothing else is coming in. Or maybe things are coming in, but the principle of it being paid back, you need to have a conversation with your dad and either be like, first of all, stop being a liar. Okay?
No, really.
Pay me back.
Yeah, you're making me uncomfortable.
If you say you're going to pay me back, pay me back. Otherwise, don't even say that. Ask me to borrow it, and then I will decide whether I will, knowing that this money's not going to come back, because I don't like liars.
Yes,
I don't like liars.
I agree with you, girl. Same. No. Please be for real. Be honest. Be straight.
You know what I mean?
Don't beat about the bush. Also, when you want something, be direct.
Be direct.
And don't lie and tell me you're gonna get it back, and then you're not gonna give it back.
So, anyways, that's just gonna make me mad now.
Yes.
I'm like, where's my 500 rand? I'm gonna go to my dad. Give me my 500. Like, what are you talking about? But yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
How has it been for you? Because you are like, I feel like you're such a master communicator. And again, you have like a pretty good relationship with your mom, who also seems to be quite self-aware.
Yes, yeah, no, she's really gotten so much better over the years. And like you said, I like that you said it evolved. The relationship between you and your parents, that's what has happened over the years with me and my mom. But it's also that I'm still working on the communication skills. I do think that I agree with you. I think I'm getting to master level. I just don't want to jinx it, because God's like now sitting in the corner. He's like, oh, wait.
Like, oh, you master level?
You master level? I'm going to show you.
Don't play with me. Don't play.
No, God's not going to show me. I know he's not like that. But I've gotten a lot better, and that's something that I do appreciate about myself, that I like to communicate. Ask Bokang. I communicate about everything from big to small. I'm late, I'm early. I want her to know because I think it's a really important thing. Obviously, communication and the comprehension aspect of it. But what I'm trying to say is my mom is willing to comprehend, and I am also understanding that I'm not always right. I'm still being guided. I also must remember that my mom is in her 50s now. She's got a better understanding of life. She's experienced more, and she's such an open person. So when she's guiding me and telling me, oh, look at it from this perspective, you're not really wrong here, this is where you aren't going right, I'm always willing to listen, because she is such a wise person, so knowledgeable. And also how she corrects me is what helps. It encourages me to keep doing better. She doesn't shame me. She doesn't hold it over my head. She's just like, that was wrong. You need to work on that. Or look at it from this perspective. Think of it like that. So yeah, I think openly speaking to my mom, the honesty thing is very important, and telling her, I don't like it. You said you're going to send this back to me on this day. Whether it's a document, whether it's money, whether it's an appointment we had, you said you would do this. You're not seeing this commitment through, and I don't like that. I like what Mpumile Dwaba said. She's a podcaster as well. Her podcast is called Wisdom and Wellness, and she said in one episode, her love language is sending verses to people, and one morning she sent one to her husband, and he read it and he never responded. And she's like, she was getting sulky. And she was like, sulky, and he's walking around. And you know how men are. They're just so, like, sometimes they're so nonchalant sometimes.
No, I'm not going to lie. I would have not even batted an eyelid at that. I'd be like, oh, thanks. Maybe I would have hearted it or something.
Or something, yeah.
Yeah.
I know that, and I'm not saying that her husband is a nonchalant person, but you know how men are, and you know we're different from them. We do feel things a lot more deeply, and things are very, very significant to us. And you know how it is with them. If you say, oh, I forgot to respond, he's like, oh, it's not a big deal, dude. It's all good. You have brothers, you know what it's
therapy.
like.
Okay. That's what I'm saying.
My brother's 16 and he's already doing that. He's like, oh, it's whatever, it's chill, I don't mind, whatever.
Stop lying.
So yeah, and I know that there's a difference between us and them. And she was like, so she's like, I'm getting sulky and I'm getting moody, and it's like he's walking around and I'm like being weird and cold. And then she said, I realized that this is not going to help. I need to talk to him. So she said to him, I sent you this verse this morning. When you didn't respond, you made me feel rejected, and I would have appreciated you responding. Even an emoji would have been fine. And she's like, you know how free I felt after just saying that? So she says we need to obviously speak honestly. What I was getting was speak honestly, openly, communicate, and don't want a person to now guess or to they're not a psychic to imagine how you are feeling, what you are going through. We need to speak. We need to use our words. So obviously, again, I love that you said that this happens over time, gradually. You don't get to a point tomorrow when you're starting today and your parent is from a different time. Our parents are boomers. Us millennials, our parents are boomers. They don't have
Gen Z. What you talking about?
You're not Gen Z. She's lying,
I'm
y'all.
Gen Z, baby. TikTok. Yeah.
But yeah, they come from such a different time. You know, the tools and resources available to us, all of this self-work, self-healing stuff wasn't available to them. Therapy and all of that stuff. So they're also learning. And I've got a lot of grace towards my mom. So talking and being honest has been one of the biggest things that has helped. And being okay with making her uncomfortable, that I said what I said. As long as I said it respectfully, I don't like that. I'm not doing that. I can't afford to do that. Be honest. That's it. So yeah, but boundaries are very, very important with parents. You gotta do it. Or else you're gonna be a yo-yo.
It's going to be a mess for you.
It's going to be a mess.
You're not a prisoner in your house. Come on.
No, for real. So yeah, guys, please create boundaries with your parents and be comfortable with being uncomfortable at first. It's not gonna be super easy in the beginning, but you'll get there. You just have to be very, very intentional. I wanted to ask you what the significance of establishing trust between you and your parents has been. Like, how has it contributed to you being able to stay at home and not feel rushed to move out?
I don't know the answer to this question, so you can go. I'm gonna be like, throw it back to you.
Okay. I think it's a very emotional thing, the trust thing. It's more of an emotional thing. It's knowing that tomorrow I'm not going to wake up and hear my mom say to me, please pack your bags and leave. It's like she's created an environment and she's created a lifeline for me to know that I don't have to worry about being kicked out of home. And that trust has given me comfort. So, not comfort as in, oh, I'm chill, I'm never leaving home, but comfort as in, I know I have a home. I know that I'm not going to be thrown out on a rainy day. I know that me creating a boundary with my mom, it doesn't mean that she's going to throw me out. Us having a disagreement doesn't mean that she's going to now say to me, pack your bags. Because I know that it happens with some people between them and their parents, where their parents threaten them. Oh, you don't want to do what I say, get out. Oh, leave. And that isn't right. That's not right. I'm no therapist. I always say that I'm not a licensed therapist, but I do know, I read enough to know that that is emotional abuse. That's not how we behave. We don't behave like that. And you also need to eventually get to a point where you tell your parent, don't, that thing you said about tone, don't talk to me like that. You have no right to talk to me like that, and I'm not comfortable with you speaking to me that way. I'm expressing myself to you. Now you want to throw me out. What does throwing me out have to do with me telling you my piece? You know what I mean? So this trust that we have created between ourselves, between me and my mom, it has given me an opportunity to really be at ease and to know that I'm not being rushed into doing anything that I'm not ready to be doing, especially financially. I'm definitely ready emotionally. I'm mature. I'm good to live on my
She
own.
said yesterday, give me out.
Yesterday, get me out of here. But no, for real, I'm mature enough. But finances, and I'm being very honest. I actually want to speak more openly about finances on this podcast, because I think we have conversations about people that are getting the bag, but what about saving, financial literacy? What about creating a good, safe financial haven for yourself in the future? And you don't want to find yourself renting for, I don't know, 35 years and you still have no saving, you still can't buy land, you can't build a house. It's just not the one. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah, so sorry, not to answer the question, because I think you answered it like really beautifully and I totally relate
Thank
on
you.
everything that you said. On the note of just financial literacy, I think also you need to look at this time where you're at home
Yeah.
as an opportunity
Go.
to learn and pour into yourself, you know? And so even if you're not making the big bucks or enough to live out on your own, this is the time where you can still understand certain principles of money, certain principles of management. I'm reading a book right now that is blowing my mind because I'm realizing, damn, I really didn't know much about
Same.
money. So even if I was earning, I don't think it would have really gone anywhere.
Yes. Same.
And I'd speak to a lot of my friends who live alone, but like they're getting paid enough just to afford rent and living expenses, and they're not able to save anything. Or I don't know, maybe it's also lifestyle decisions, which is really a lifestyle decision thing.
Yes.
But this is a time where you can actually learn and practice these principles, so that when you are in a position to move out, you don't have to start from scratch and make the mistakes that 23-year-olds would be making with finances.
So good.
You know, now you can go and be like, okay, I don't like, for example, this book was just talking about like a very basic thing in terms of lifestyle creep or lifestyle inflation, where the more you get paid, a lot of people are still broke because then their lifestyle and their expenses also go higher. But if you keep your living expenses the same as your salary increases, and that amount that you save, put it in a fund, that compound interest, in a couple of years, you'll actually be able to retire in like
Sure.
10 years
Yeah.
just by saving and learning these principles. But maybe I wouldn't have the time to read this book if I was working a specific 9 to 5 and just living hand to mouth, you know? And even if I did, that's fine. You don't have to even compare yourself to where you could have been, to justify or to make yourself feel better about what you're doing now. But it is important to actually use this time as an opportunity for future you, because it is gonna happen. You won't be here forever. Who knows, maybe you'll be moving out because you're getting married. You better read that book on relationships, girl.
Hey, please. We are telling you, Read it, read it. I just want to, on the point, just hop onto that point that you made about, you said something, opportunity, seeing living at home as an opportunity. And that's exactly what I've been doing. I've been doing a lot of thinking. Earlier on, I mentioned that I've just had like different, sort of an epiphany. Light bulb went on. I had a moment.
Boom.
And I remember you actually asked me when we were talking about this, and you said, would you mind moving out of home when you get married? And I said to you, the first time you move out of home is when you get married, not on your own. And I said, yeah, I'm open to it. I would like to live on my own first. And then I sat down with God, sat down with Proverbs. You read it, it will drag you.
Love that one.
And it was talking about finances. And when you read it, you can see finances and just being smart. And it was just like a moment where God was showing me as well that I need to be smart. So I need to understand where I am financially, like where I am, not where I imagine I am, not where I hope to, not like on my Pinterest board.
Not where I imagine I am.
No,
You
for
see
real.
the problem with the delusional,
Yes.
guys. You cannot apply that to where you are.
Exactly. So I had to get for real. And I said to myself, especially also because I'm also reading up on finances and I'm really educating myself, I don't want to be in a situation where I am living off of loans or I'm living hand to mouth because of I wanted to be like everyone else, because I was not reading my own situation and being honest with myself. And a big part of self-improvement is not just therapy, bath bombs, more therapy walks, hot girl walks. What do they call them these days? Hot girl walks. It's about also being honest about where you are financially. I've made some really bad mistakes in my earlier 20s when it came to money, when it came to finances. And I'm still working on those things, working to correct them even today. And I just don't want to go back. So I said to myself, you know what? I actually am not going to move out until I get married. I'm staying at home. And that's my decision. You're looking at me like, you guys should see her now. You guys should see her right now.
Wait. Let's. I think I missed a chapter. What?
No, but because...
Wait, why?
And you know, though, because you know... By the way, guys, there isn't even an eligible bachelor in my life right now. I'm single as single. And I just... there isn't anyone... I'm not saying this because I'm getting married tomorrow, next week. I don't know when I'm getting married. But I am saying this not because I'm comfortable and it's just I'm so happy and comfortable with being at home. But it's because there are financial goals that I want to achieve. And it's just moving out on its own is going to be an expense that I do not want to incur. If I'm going to incur it, I'm going to be splitting it with someone. That will be my husband. And that is it. That's where I stand on it.
I'm just going to say, guys, another thing is give yourself the freedom to change your mind. So you know what, Tshata? Where you're at right now, that statement,
Yes.
I support you.
Thank you.
But in 6 months, when we need to be in Cape Town,
Okay.
or we need... It's not going to work.
No,
you know?
No, and
It's
that's
not gonna
fine.
work.
That's perfectly fine. But I just think that when we make decisions, we have to look from every angle, all the factors that influence it. I know that some people are in horrible situations where they have narcissistic parents, where they have they are in very toxic environments and they need to get out quickly. Some people just want the independence. They want the freedom before they go and live with a man. Some people want to live with the man before they're married to the man to see how he's going to behave in the marriage. All situations are different. I don't judge. I have no place to judge. But I also say that we do need to... all the research I did was saying that millennials are in trouble financially, worse off than our parents. And of course, we are influenced by the economical, social factors of today. It's not the early 2000s anymore. We are in a different time, but we are apparently reckless spenders. Like you said, the more money you make, the higher the living goes up, the higher the cost the things you're willing to spend on, the higher that price is. And so millennials are quite reckless financially. That's what the studies are saying. And we do need to take it a lot more seriously because there is a tomorrow, there is a future, there is a 15 years from now, there's a 30 years from now. And if you're a person that doesn't, for example, have a retirement annuity fund, and you are an artist and you are working and you are responsible for your own finances, read up on this stuff, put money aside. Things are going to change, and when they change, make sure that you're prepared for that. But yeah, I just realized that it's not something that I used to be so against it, moving out of home when I get married, but now I'm more concerned about my finances and where I am and where I'm trying to get to. And if it happens that work moves us to a different city, or I have to move to a different city for work, then I'm not going to say, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. But yeah, I just would like for us to take the financial thing a bit more seriously, because I can see we're a lifestyle generation. Us and the Gen Zs, lifestyle, good, looking good, wearing the label shoe, fancy shoe, brand shoe, driving the fancy car. I be seeing some of these cars and people be like, yeah, I'm paying 30,000 rand including insurance on this car. I say, what?
Imagine.
30,000 what?
Imagine.
Yeah, so yeah, guys, I'm not against moving out. I just think that we need to be wiser and be more honest with ourselves before we do things. Moving out is just not for the aesthetics. This is real stuff that will affect your pocket. So make sure you're good. Make sure you are good for real. And what did you say, B? Have the conversations with the people that have moved. Have conversations. Have conversations with people that are still at home, that moved back home, that are have moved out, that have gotten a bond, that are renting. Let's talk. Let's not just walk into things with blindfolds on as if that's right.
Then everything is burning.
Then-
This is fine. No, man.
How do I insert that thing into this in
Bruh.
an audio? This is fine.
This is fine. No.
No, it's not fine. We're almost at the end of this episode, actually. But before we wrap things up,
All right.
I would like for us to give some practical and helpful pointers to navigate living at home.
This whole episode, if you by this point don't feel like you got any practical things, play it again, start again, and listen this time and make notes. Aibo.
I'm gonna go first.
Please. Because I'm like, what is she gonna say that we have not mentioned?
You have mentioned this, but helping out with chores, it goes a long way. Your parents just want to see that you care, man, and that you're not just living for yourself. Just do something, help. When your mom has gone to work, let's say you're unemployed, for example, that sucks. But you're unemployed, you don't feel like there's much to do. Send your mom a text. You need me to pick up some groceries, detergents. Send your mom a text. You need me to take down the curtains. Is there anything you want me to do in the house? Or the night before, speak to her. What do you need done in the house? And it goes a long way. I think that's another way to establish trust with your parents. You're showing them that you're interested and that they can trust you.
That's a good one.
Yeah, they could trust you. Another one is have your own life. Please, my sisters
Whoa.
and brothers, if there are brothers listening.
Whoa.
Have your own life. Your life mustn't revolve around your family. Like I said, I love my family and we're quite close. We've gotten quite close. But also, I appreciate having my own life. Sometimes my sister will be like, so I said to her, we're going to the shelter. Remember, we were supposed to go, we're going to do that. She's like, can I come with? I said, no. Where are you going? I love you. We see each other all the time. We go on outings all the time. Where are you going? No, have your own life and say no. When people want to come with you, don't agree now just because you're close.
To add on to that, not only should your life not revolve around your family, don't let your life and your headspace revolve around moving out. Okay?
Hey, what is it? Idolizing.
Yes.
Don't idolize.
Guys, there's nothing wrong with wanting to move out. Listen, everyone who's listening to this episode and can relate because they're in the boat, I'm sure a lot of us, except for Tsegetso, wants to move out.
Oh, please. I didn't say I don't want to move out. I said I'll wait.
Oh, yeah. She needs some ring on it. She needs some rapes.
Put a ring.
But I think a big game changer for me, and also just my own personal happiness and contentment in where I'm at in my life. One, you need to accept where you are right now.
Yes.
Stop living in a future or an idealized future.
Ooh.
Like I said, it's okay to want that, but it's not here right now. And so it's so important to be in the present and build your life right now and find those little moments of, it doesn't even have to be little, but find moments of joy and happiness and peace in your life right now. Because if you are constantly and you are, what's the word? You're making yourself, what is it? It's not used to, ne? But you are, So what's the word I'm looking for?
Which one?
It's like, got it. Yes, sir. But if you're conditioning yourself to always be wanting the next and living for the future, even when you get to moving out, you will not be satisfied. You will always be, even in that moment now, wanting the next, living in the future. You are living a life of, or you are setting yourself up to live a life of dissatisfaction. And so it's so important to right now in the present prioritize building and pouring into your life right now at home. How can I be happy? How can I be excited? How can I build a happy and full life and still work towards my goals and my dreams and my desires?
That's so good.
Yeah, girl.
Yeah. And the other one that I wanted to add was, if you can afford it, make contributions at home. Obviously, create boundaries around that. But
I just be like, I have to rent.
yes, no, for real. And say I can do this, and do it. Don't be stingy. There's something that the book of Proverbs will teach you, is that when you are stingy, the Bible in general, when you are stingy, you are not doing anything, and you're not doing yourself justice, and you aren't doing the people around you any justice. We are in each other's lives to point to each other in one way or another. And when you are given the opportunity, pour into other people financially, mentally, spiritually, in whichever way. So don't be stingy. Don't be stingy. When you can, contribute and be helpful. Obviously, also, something else that I wanted to add, the last one that I'm adding, then I'm going to give it over to B.
If I have any
if you have any
comments, I'm like,
comments.
damn, man. My thing is listen back.
There's something that I've learned of recently. It's the 50-30-20 savings rule plan, where you spend 50% will go towards all of your basic needs, whether if you're paying for your car and your house, if you have all of that. But if you live at home, then you can take 50% of your salary and save it. And then you can take 20% and give that to your parent or parents and say, this is my contribution. Or you can say 10%, and then you can take the other 30% and spend that. Imagine being able to save 50% of your salary every month for 2 years. Girl.
Wow.
Girl.
Huge.
So yeah, it makes a big difference, and it doesn't have to be 100,000 rands, but it can be really helpful. I actually saw a video from one of the South African YouTubers. She's got quite a good number of subscribers on YouTube, but she's still considered, I'm not going to say small, but she's not a huge influencer like some of the big influencers we know. But she's been so consistent and just so intentional about making sure that she's saving, that she now moved into her apartment this year. And she was living at home. And when she was at home, she fixed up her mom's kitchen so that she could vlog in there. And it looked so beautiful.
Wow.
And she fixed her mom's bathroom. And now she works with hair companies, skin product companies. She does stuff for, what else? Perfumes. Fenty sent her a perfume the one time. Wow. She's just like so intentional. And she said that for her move, she saved 100,000 rands over a number of years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so she was saying to people, to her subscribers, that please just make sure that you are saving and you are prepared for your move. Don't do things hastily. She said she nearly moved out in 2020, and she said she knows that if she had done it, she would have gone back home. So rather stay at home, work with what you have, and just be intentional. Know that you are putting money aside for this specific thing. That 50% of your salary, just know that you are saving it for something specific, something that's going to have good long-term outcomes. And another thing that I would recommend doing is watching a YouTuber called Yols. You know Yols? Mm-hmm. She is so wise financially. She's just wise overall. If you watch her content, you'll know that she's just very wise. But Yols is, she bought her car cash, her Mercedes-Benz cash, sure, fresh, brand new off the floor. They paid off their house. She has no debt.
I love that.
And she says it's also just because of something that she was taught to do, but she says you can teach yourself to do it as an adult. And she highly recommends being financially savvy and taking care of your money and not living to impress people. So yeah, Do you have anything to add?
Stop making excuses.
Yeah.
I mean, that YouTuber example just showed you is that for anything what you want to do, you have the opportunity to do it right now in your parents' home. In fact, this is the best time to do it because you already are in your safety net. You can fall and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
There's nowhere else to fall to. And also, just be a little kinder to yourself. Be patient with yourself. Give yourself some grace. Don't lose the hope. And subscribe to A Cupful.
Yes.
Do we subscribe on podcasts?
You follow.
Follow this podcast.
You can only subscribe
This is
to
a good
have
resource.
Patreon.
As I'm listening to this episode, I'm like, hey, this is a good resource. Financial literacy and also a cupful.
Yes.
Okay.
Period.
Yeah.
Period. Yeah. So please do follow. Please do like the episodes. If you enjoyed this one, wherever you found out about it, come back, share it with other people.
Hey, and tag me.
Yes.
Tag me. Tsereto is not on Instagram. Maybe she'll come back one day.
Maybe one day. Who
Maybe
knows?
one day. But I'm on Instagram. At She's Bokang. Tag me. I want to see what y'all thought about this episode,
Yes,
okay?
please do that. And go and listen to According to Be.
Oh, yeah. That too.
Y'all better go listen to According to Be and follow it and like the episodes and rate the episodes. She has so many good episodes up on her podcast. Love the content. It's good stuff. It's stuff that will pour into you and encourage you to grow and to have a different perspective on things. Yeah, but this is where we're ending this week's episode. Thank you so much for joining us. Girl, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. It's always a time. It's always a vibe.
Yes.
With us too.
Period. I hope this is not like an hour long. Was it long?
I love they need to listen to this whole thing. It is an hour and 10, baby.
I love
Best
that.
hour of your life.
Best hour of your life. Please don't forget that you can listen to A Cupful on all listening platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, which is also apparently going to be coming to a close, I think at the end of June or beginning of July. So you are now going to be able to find A Cupful on YouTube Music. So head on over
or
there.
wherever else you listen to podcasts.
Yes, exactly. And if you want to share the podcast, do so. You can send links. You can tell people about it. Word of mouth also always works. I also have a TikTok page. The handle is at acupfulllpod. If you want to test the waters or if you just like enjoy that kind of content, maybe you will enjoy that. But otherwise, have a beautiful remainder of this week. Rest when you need to. Work when you need to. Be kind to yourself. Don't rush yourself. You're doing fine. You're doing great. Whether you live at home, whether you live alone, just move at your own pace. That's the most important thing. And most importantly, don't forget to keep doing the things that fill your cup.